Hello everyone and welcome back to more Fate Grand Order. So first of all, you may have noticed I changed the titles I was using from Synchronized Intelligence Nation to the official English title, finally. I mean, I haven't really seen a reason to yet, but I figured I should stick with what people are actually seeing in the game. So, last time we fought mei-ren and found out some more about her backstory. And now no battles, so let's see how long this is. You've got her hands behind her back? Good. Make sure that wire is nice and tight, and don't forget the shackles. Good to see you up on your feet again, Gordy. Oh, come on! Is this really necessary? May I remind you, I just helped save your lives back there! I can't believe a little glucose strip, which once again is not a thing, is all it took to get Gordy up and running again. It really goes to show what a, unique person Mr. Gordolf is, doesn't it, Senpai? I see Poe is using Koyanskaya's head as a dance floor. I understand how you feel all too well, Tiny. In fact, I can no longer restrain myself either. Accursed wench! Now you're wearing a Chinese dress of all things! Your wiles won't work on me, Koyanskaya. You won't fool me ever again. Now, what shall I do with you? Oh no! I can't believe I've been captured by such a brute. Whatever will become of me now? He must have such atrocities in mind as to put Qin Shi Huang's punishment to shame. A veritable smorgasbord of torture, the likes of which has never been witnessed in all of human history. No doubt he's going to carnally humiliate me in unspeakable ways after keeping me caged like a wild animal. Oh, I'm so scared. Yeah, she's making fun of you, Gordy. Smorgasbord? Carnally humiliate? What? I mean, yes, I'm ruthless, but I'd never go that far. Alright, that's enough of that. Remember, your and Cursor's lives are still on the line here, Gordy. Yes, that's right. Where is the antidote for the poison you used on me and Cursor? The one you promised to hand over in exchange for our help. I'll even spare you the shackles. Go on, then, produce the antidote from that bountiful bosom of yours. Don't think I don't know you know how sexy your cleavage looks in the Chinese dress. Now hand over the antidote and make the hopes and dreams of every red-blooded male come true. Of course I'll keep my end of the bargain. Here you go. Just one bottle? That's it? That's right. A single dose is all I have. And do be warned, sharing it between you will just make it useless. What are you trying to pull? Oh, come on now, think about it. Would I really go to the trouble of preparing an antidote when the whole point of the poison was to kill my target? I just brought along a single dose for insurance in case I ended up taking the poison myself by mistake. That's the one and only contingency I prepared for. And now, as I promised, I've handed over that single dose of contingency antidote to all of you. Whatever happens next is out of my hands. I wonder which one will get to take it. His Excellency the Great Gordolf, or Chaldayev's one and only master? And just so you know, Cursor, you don't have much time left either. You might not be feeling too bad thanks to Mash's protection, but make no mistake, the poison is doing its job. Oh, great. Zhen Shui Ming Mai dries you out from the inside. You only have a few days to live at best. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even think about it. I had no idea. Senpai. As much as it sucks, I think we have to put our personal feelings aside in favor of the bigger picture. Cursor, I suggest we... Cursor, I challenge you to a game of rock, paper, scissors. Huh? Only one of us will go on living. That means this is a clash between our wills to survive. And when the stakes are this high, rock, paper, scissors is the only truly impartial judge. Well, normally I would prefer a coin toss, but that would give me an unfair advantage. So rock, paper, scissors it is. Mr. Gordolf? Are you really sure you want to settle this like that? It's alright, Mash. If they are content to make a decision this way, it is not our place to interfere. Just you, me, and whatever hand we choose to play. A fair fight if there ever was one. What do you say, young man? Alright. Fine, whatever. Very well. I'm glad to see you're being such a good sport about this. Win or lose, no hard feelings, okay? That includes having one of your servants take it by force, and other becoming chicanery. Alright, let's do this. Rock, paper. I'm going to use rock. Wait, what? Hey? Gordolf? Why'd you use scissors there? I can't believe it. I thought the rock declaration was just a ploy, and you were actually going to use paper. I was all set to use my scissors to cut your paper into ribbons, and now your rock dashed them to pieces. So you used reverse psychology, eh? You must have developed quite the eye for strategy after leading servants to restore humanity. I know I'm not doing Gordolf's voice the way I normally do, but I can't seem to get back into how I normally do it. Huh. Hey, Gordy? So I've lost. Then I suppose I have no choice but to let you have the antidote. Senpai? Good grief. Hey, Cursor? It's been a good show and all, but I think it's time we got this over with, don't you? Yep, go for it. What? Hey? What's the meaning of this full Nelson, Jinke? Okay, Gordy, open wide. What are you... Hey! The medicine's... There you go. Down the hatch. Are you nuts? Why did you make me swallow it? That was the only antidote we had. Now what are you going to do? Well, I couldn't just let you die. After all, I wouldn't even be here now if not for you. That's right. You only survived because Director Gordolf ate half of that cake. If you'd eaten the whole thing, you would have died on the spot. The director never said a word about that, so... Indeed, whatever the circumstances may have been, the end result is that Gordolf saved Cursor's life, and despite being well aware of that, he has not so much as mentioned it all this time. No doubt he decided it would be unfair to hold that over Mr. Cursor's head, given how he was about to head off into battle. Well, I don't know if I'd put it quite that way. Aw, Gordy. So now we're even. You fool. Where do you get off being so decent even at such a young age? But very well, this is, of course, merely a matter of priorities. There can be no team without its leader. Now that I'm fully back in action, all of our further plans are guaranteed to succeed. What a joke. How utterly revolting. Maybe I'll just gobble you up from the head down. Oh, it seems we have a lady here who can't quite contain her murderous rage. Who, me? Why, don't be silly. This has all been a hugely entertaining farce. There's nothing quite like humans, is there? I'm so touched I feel as though my heart might just burst. I'm afraid you have grossly underestimated us if you thought this little performance of yours would hide the truth. That medicine you handed over is not the only means of neutralizing the poison, is it? Oh, and on what are you basing that so hopeful assertion, might I ask? That you chose to come to this particular lost belt in the first place. You made sure to wait until the time was right before you went about poisoning Mr. Cursor. Were your poison truly incurable, you would only need to flee once the deed was done. As long as you had managed to cover your tracks, you could escape without leaving a trace. And yet, by the time we had arrived in this lost belt, you were already here. Now why would you do something so foolish? The answer is simple, because there is something in this lost belt you needed to keep away from us. And what else could that be but a way to cure the poison you used? I can't stand men who have nothing more to offer than their minds. I imagine you must have heard that from Irene Adler a lot too, didn't you? I'll thank you not to draw comparisons between her and an agent of pure evil such as yourself. Now then, as we can be sure that Miss Koyanskaya's purpose in coming here was to protect it, we must simply ask ourselves what this cure might be. It would have to be something already lost in proper human history, as well as something unattainable in any other lost belt, which leaves... Aha! The Fusang tree! Quite so. Though there are many things unique to this lost belt, the Fusang tree is the only thing I can think of that would be impossible to obtain elsewhere. As the key to the Sage World's mystics, we know that it has no end of biochemical applications, as Qin Shi Huang has so aptly demonstrated. I see no other magecraft system that could possibly be used to refine such a strange and complex poison. Well, I suppose there's no point in playing dumb any longer. Yes, you're right. That poison was derived from the Fusang tree. The substance made by distilling its roots with yin energy is called Zhen Shui Ming Mai, or Immortal Decline. And the one made by decocting its leaves with yang energy is called Zhen Ho Ming Mai, or Immortal Lifeline. Either way, whether you're making poison or antidote, you need something from the Fusang tree. Of course, you could always make an antidote without the Fusang tree as long as you could extract something with the same components. But we all know proper human history lost those kinds of mystics long ago, don't we? Which means the antidote I had on me was your one and only hope. given that I held Cursor's life in my hands. I did consider making him my slave and forcing him to do my bidding. But I couldn't get Agata's report out of my head. If only I had never heard her mention there was a lost belt, where the Fusang tree remained alive and in human custody.
So once you knew, you felt you had no choice but to go and guard it. You must be quite the worrywart yourself.
I prefer to think of it as knowing when to hedge my bets.
Whatever you choose to call it, your instincts helped us out considerably for once. Once we obtain the Fusang tree for ourselves, we can cure Mr. Cursor's poison, correct?
Theoretically, yes. But to actually do that, you'd have to make your way to Xiang, where the Emperor is. And you'd have to be insane to do that, wouldn't you?
Hey, we're going to have to face off with Qin Shi Huang eventually, especially now that the Emperor is trying to wipe us out for being Confucians. Besides, we can't leave this lost belt until we find the Tree of Emptiness and chop it down. The hidden Tree of Emptiness. Well, I suppose it all boils down to the same thing. At any rate, curing Mr. Cursor's poisoning remains our top priority. Can I assume our next destination to be Xiang, then, Director? Yes, of course. After all, we do need to get our hands on that antidote at all costs. As Chaldea's director, I'm personally responsible for the lives of my staff, and that includes Cursor. I certainly can't afford to go around dying first. Well said, Director. Don't you worry, my boy. We'll find a way to save you. You just see if we don't. You hang in there and focus on defeating Qin Shi Huang.
I'm so relieved. I know we're not out of the woods yet, but at least this takes care of one big problem.
Yeah.
It's great to finally see Director Gordolph back to his old self again, isn't it, Senpai?
Ooh, that's kind of a lot of nodes, huh? Alright then. Archers. Interesting.
Lancer Squad.
See, if they say Demon King, I just think it's Nobu, but it's not Nobu. He was bewildered. Who was? It had been over 2,000 years since his activation. He had devoted every ounce of his being to fulfilling the duties given to him. Some of these duties may have been difficult, even dangerous, but he always had a purpose. There was never any doubt about why he was made or what he was meant to do. But now, this sage woman who claimed to have come from another world with a different history was... Are you my new lord?
No, it's not like that. The lord you swore loyalty to is the law that maintains peace in this world. Is that not how you were designed?
It is.
Well, that is not what I am. All I ask is that you think of me as a companion, and that you call me simply by my name, you.
You. You offered everything you possessed to Heavenly Emperor in exchange for my custody. And all you want now is to live out your days with me?
Yes. That is my greatest desire. That has been my sole hope and prayer over the last 2,000 years.
he could not understand. What could this immortal Zhenren, who claimed to have borne witness to a different world, possibly want from the being she called Zhang Yu? Without further information or context, he could only stand by in bewilderment. So, to remedy this confusion, he required answers. Answers he could only obtain from this being who called herself Yu. First of all, who is this Zhang Yu you speak of? What did I, Kuaiji Zero, do in your history? Good question. Knowing you, I am sure you will understand. Surely you can hypothesize alternative scenarios based on different conditions, just like Chaldeus could. Correct. That is one of my most basic operations. Kuaiji Zero, the first mechanical man Qin Shi Huang ever made by recreating Xiang Dynasty Baobei. His core functionality lay in predictive calculation. By observing and analyzing every iota of data about his surroundings, he could predict likely cause and effect relations to see into the near future. This ability was deemed essential for spreading Qin Shi Huang's eternal regime far and wide. For the moment, let us further assume that this ruler is, in fact, Qin Shi Huang. You said that in your history, I was activated by a rebel who was fighting against the Empire. That's right, but the man who meant to use you, Zhang Liang, fell before his ambitions could be realized. And you were left to fend for yourself in a chaotic world under the name Zhang Yu. If you were in such a situation, what do you think you would do? What would this Zhang Yu version of him do under such circumstances? He should use his abilities to fulfill his designer's purpose for him and help bring about peace. Qin Shi Huang, after completing Kuaiji Zero, was magnanimous enough not to limit Zhang Yu's potential masters to only his creator. Naturally, I would dedicate myself to my next lord, a successor who would lead China towards peace and prosperity. But what if the Qin Shi Huang government had fallen to rot and uprisings were breaking out all across the land? And what if the emperor's successor lacked the courage to quell these uprisings? Then... It was a difficult supposition, but not one without a clear answer. His purpose lay strictly in bringing about peace, both swiftly and decisively. I would accept that Qin Shi Huang's time was over, and find a new ruler amidst the chaos, one who would be up to the task of uniting all of China. It was difficult to imagine such a hellish landscape from the comfort of the Empire's eternal peace. But if he had been left on his own in such a place, with only his primary programming to guide him, I am certain there would be at least one person among the rebels capable of leading this nation. Indeed, you found such potential in Liu Bang, a man with a promising destiny born with the dragon factor. When you first met him, he was but a lowly adulterer toiling away in the town of Pei. It matters not where he came from or what his circumstances may have been. Once he assumes the throne and begins a new regime. But what if his potential had yet to awaken and he had no genuine ability to speak of? What would you do then? Well... This made matters even more difficult. But with the facts provided, deductions can be made. From there, an answer can be reached. Then I would have to wait until his abilities awakened and he was ready to rule. But even as you wait, the world falls further into chaos, and numerous warlords battle each other for control of China. Their war rages so violently that it threatens to dispose of Liu Bang like so much trash. In that case... What a horrific history, what cruel conditions, but it was not his place to bemoan such things. What he needed was to be flexible in his thinking. If the only goal was to bring peace to China, then it would not be necessary for the would-be conquering king to bring it about himself. All he need do in such a situation is pave as smooth a path as possible for the future king to walk. In such a vicious world, if he is to keep this king alive until the day he can properly rule, I would enter the fray myself and put an end to their conflict before it could spread further. As long as I remove any obstacles from the new king's way. Yes, all you need do is create a situation where the new king is the only one who can rival you. From there, all those who do not wish to be governed by violent suppression would swear allegiance to the new king, thus greatly bolstering his forces. The world cannot be left to suffer in chaos and turmoil for long, so to bring a swift end to that, Xiang Yu would merely need to become a box with which to contain all that would threaten the peace. If the people end up despising such a box, well, what does that matter? He is but a machine, a device that functions solely to bring about a predefined objective. If it would help clear the way for the new king to assume the throne... But what if, even after all that, Liu Bang was still too weak to prevail? What if, even after you had brought the other warlords under your thumb, the new king still required more time to grow into a proper ruler? And what if, even then, he was still not capable of uniting all of China? Such a situation would be beyond hopeless, but even that is not his concern. His only concern should be continuing his calculations until he arrives at the best, clearest answer. Then I would have no choice but to reduce China in size to something he is capable of ruling. That's right. That is exactly the conclusion you would arrive at. It is inevitable. And that is exactly what Xiang Yu from Proper Human History did. He thinned the population, set fire to the lands, and whittled China into a size that Liu Bang could manage. A vivid picture forms before his mind's eye. Instead of the near future, he sees a vision of a hypothetical world as clearly as if he were there. No matter how bountiful a land may be, if it would end up falling into the hands of rebels who claim it as their own, he would have no choice but to raze it to the ground. And before those driven from their homes could wreak havoc in their quest to fill their starving bellies, he can see it now, grass fires streaking across the land, fortresses collapsing into smoke and ash, prisoners of war buried alive so as not to waste time beheading them. All done without mercy or remorse at the hands of Xiang Yu, the Demon King. And yet, until Liu Bang, the next rightful emperor, is capable of leading and providing for his people, Xiang Yu has no choice but to cut down the land, the people, to a size within his lord's grasp. And did it work? Was peace finally achieved? Jeez. Eventually, yes. Every last one who still had the strength to resist swore fealty to Liu Bang thanks to their fear and hatred of you. After years of war and chaos, China finally came together, united in their determination to exact vengeance upon you. This new regime came to be known as the Han Dynasty. I see. He had no doubt such a scenario would end in disaster. The survivors who loathed him so fiercely would surely not be satisfied with a mere pound of flesh. Those who finally defeated Xiang Yu must have torn his body to shreds and fought over who would take pieces of him home as proof of their victory. Jeez. And you saw all of this happen.
I did. I witnessed it all as I stood by your side. Talk about a tone shift. No way. Is that... While we have been analyzing the Shadow Border, we decided to try remodeling our tax collection vehicle in Chaldean style. We call it the... trying to remember how to say things. The duo... I don't think D is like a D sound. I don't know. Yishan, or more is more. Behold its vicious facade, behind which lies a mountain of otherworldly technologies designed explicitly for violence. Indeed, it is an awesome, terrifying sight. Whoa! Thermic ray blasters, homing grenade launchers, a 1500 horsepower gas turbine engine. It's the stuff of dreams. Whoa! This thing is too cool for words, Your Imperial Majesty. It's beautiful. I have never seen anything more incredible in all my life. I don't get it. It has been a very long time indeed since this empire has produced new weapons. But thanks to Chaldea's technology, a single knight is all we needed to complete our most ruthless weapon. If the time for battle should fall upon us again, the Empire will have an overwhelming advantage. Indeed, we have already ramped up their production to our factory's full capacity. We shall deploy them to the battlefront as soon as they are ready to go, where they shall swiftly rout these traitorous Chaldeans. Of course, you will be the one to lead them, Qin Liang Yu. Oh, okay. Come on, Lady Liang Yu. Let's start talking tactics. I can't wait to explore all the strategic possibilities these bad boys will open up. With amazing machines like this out in the field, I could do this and some of that, and... Are you sure we can't just stick with the White Cavalry spears? Wow, still more, huh? Delicious. Even rations taste better than ever before now. Go on, Cursor, eat up. A good meal can help with almost any ailment. Hey, I'm seeing dust clouds up ahead. Something's headed this way and fast. No ordinary cavalry would kick up clouds like that. I wonder, what could it be? Is that an engine? Ah, shit. It must be an absurdly powerful engine if we can hear it all the way out there. No, that's not it. They just didn't bother with a muffler for reasons that I can only guess at. It's coming over the hill. The tiger head kills me. What the... yes. I've seen this sort of thing before, much as I wish I hadn't. I don't believe it! They just straight up ripped off the Shadow Border! You certainly won't be buying that in a dollar store anytime soon. What a bizarre design. It reminds me a bit of the kite we used in Russia. Hey, knockoff or not, I'm willing to give credit where credit is due. But this is really pushing the limits of my tolerance. If I don't turn that thing to scrap right away, I will never be able to forgive myself for letting something so garish endure.
The enemy is preparing to attack, Master. Even its cannon's design is almost absurd. I am sorry to ask this of you, Mr. Cursor. But would you be so kind as to do something about that thing for Da Vinci's peace of mind and our safety? Though, not necessarily in that order. My throat was starting to hurt. Oh, it's got defense down, huh? Interesting. Hey, wait a minute. 4 turns? It was less turns before. Jeez, it really is getting worse. God, this thing is so ugly. Okay, you know what? I should use that. Wow. Wow, this is like not that hard. I should have put single targets in the front though. Oh well. Boom. 6 turns, not bad. Another archer. Am I gonna have to fight this one again? In that case, let's switch the lineup around to put the single target ones in front. I have so many Buster Lancers, it's absurd. Damn, this thing is flimsy. Indeed, if they had copied the boarder's armor and its ability to withstand a zero sale, then we would have had a truly formidable foe on our hands. But what they have done here... How disappointing. It did have some impressive artillery, but that doesn't mean but that doesn't mean much if a good punch breaks it. Well, let us not forget that a blow from a servant is considerably more powerful than conventional weapons. So I don't know if I'd go so far as to call it a piece of poorly made. So it was an unmanned vehicle, just like those mechanical soldiers. Still, I'm surprised it was made quite so... roughly. Wait. Yep, I've got a bad feeling about this too, and now it's gonna give me several of them, isn't it? It looks like it was designed with an emphasis on mass reproducibility rather than performance of individual units, which would mean... Yep. Ah! There's a whole bunch of them! I knew it. They're trying to overwhelm us with sheer numbers. Burn them! Kill them with fire! Somebody get me an anti-world noble phantasm right now! Yep, and now I need AoE. Wow. Awesome. Jeez. This is gonna take longer than it needs to. Oh, come on. They're all so close. No, the middle one. The middle one. There we go. And now it's Enkidu's turn. so glad we have bond grails now. So I can use them again. I mean, I could use them anyways, but it's kind of a waste of a slot at that point. Here we go. Not too bad. All of the hostiles have been eliminated. And I'm exhausted. That does it! Gather up their remnants. Every last piece! If that's how they want to play this, I'm gonna analyze the shit out of these things and beat them at their own game. Ah, yes. Da Vinci is a force to be reckoned with once she gets fired up. I have every confidence she'll soon be unveiling a new invention the likes of which mankind has not yet dreamt of. You two are very good friends, aren't you? Oh. Once again, I don't know how to pronounce this. And I know I'm gonna get it wrong. I'll look it up after I finish recording this, if that's gonna come up again. The duo, is it duo? The sure, that word. Xiang were completely useless. Sucks to suck. Interesting. Perhaps we rushed them into production too quickly. In retrospect, perhaps it would have been better not to use the same control system we use for the automatons. Very well then, we shall simply have to remotely pilot the next version ourselves. And to further ensure their success, we will allocate 0.03% of our resources towards their production. Oh, how reassuring. Oh my, the Emperor really means business. Are we sure of that? Starting to get kind of close to time. Do I want to chance it with a little bit more, or do I want to stop here? I'll stop here. So, you know, if you've enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Please, please tell your friends about the channel. Like, word of mouth would be the best way for the channel to grow. And that is something that relies on you telling your friends. Once again, I have my Ko-fi page linked in the description if you feel generous and feel like leaving me a tip. Yeah, I think that's everything. So I'll see you all next time.